The Fukushima power plant, the site of Japan's worst nuclear accident. It'll take 40 years to decommission the entire facility, but Japan is yet to move past the main hurdle, which is disposing the 1.2 million tons of radioactive water at this site. Reports indicate that the government is now considering a controversial dump site, the Pacific Ocean.
2011. Disaster strikes Japan. A nuclear accident at the Fukushima plant, triggered by a massive tsunami and earthquake. It is the most severe nuclear accident since Chernobyl. To stabilize the reactors, authorities used thousands of tons of water. Water that remains at the accident site to this day. These tanks hold close to 1.2 million tons of contaminated water. There are more than 1,000 of these at Fukushima. The water inside has been filtered to reduce radioactivity, but one isotope, tritium, remains. If consumed in large quantities, tritium can be harmful. The major obstacle to dismantling the Fukushima plant is the contaminated water. What do you do with 1.2 million tons of radioactive water? Is there a place vast enough to dump such quantities? The Japanese government certainly thinks so. According to local media, the contaminated water will be dumped into the Pacific Ocean. The government is not giving much away, but reports say an announcement can be expected later this month.
The government has not decided a policy or time frame to make a policy on the issue of the treated water from the Fukushima reactor. On the other hand, it is true that we cannot continue postponing the decision over the handling of the ALPS treated water in order to not delay the decommissioning process of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant.
Earlier this year, a government panel gave two recommendations: releasing the water into sea or evaporating it. Both were described as realistic options. Under the current plan, the contaminated water will be mixed with seawater inside the facility. It will then be released gradually into the ocean, a process that is expected to take around 30 years. There's nothing new about ocean dumping. Even the International Atomic Energy Agency endorses it. Properly filtered water can be released into the ocean after adequate dilution. But when it comes to nuclear contamination, there is always a risk. The fishing community argues that the dumping will affect marine life. They say customers will shun their produce once the water is released. Countries like South Korea have already banned imports from the region. Seoul is staunchly opposed to the discharge of contaminated water. It will be a challenge for Tokyo to get all stakeholders on board, especially under a new Prime Minister. But disposing the contaminated water is a national priority. Every day of inaction is producing 170 tons of wastewater at the facility. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Thank you for watching Gravitas on WION's YouTube channel. If you want to stay up to date with what's happening around the world, then subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like and share. Thank you very much for watching WION, World is One.